Yo, what up, YouTube? So today we're going to be shitting all over Tyson Foods because they deserve it. I just wanted to remind everyone that Tyson Foods is in fact linked to the largest toxic dead zone in US history. This is a 8,000 square mile dead zone where no marine life can live. And that is because Tyson dumps about 1.7 million tons worth of toxic chemicals into the Gulf of Mexico every year. And you would actually be even more surprised to know that the taxpayer pays about $2 billion per year cleaning up Tyson Foods' mess. And you also might be surprised to know that Tyson has had over 10,000 employees test positive for COVID-19.
There's absolutely no way that we can social distance within these plants.
Meat processing plants around the country have become COVID-19 hotspots.
More than 10,000 workers in poultry and meat plants have contracted the virus. The reason our plants continue to be super spreaders is because Tyson forces us to process so much chicken so very quickly.
The rate that they have to get these orders processed, it is physically impossible to social distance.
If we slow down the lines, less workers will be needed, and by doing so, we can be able to social distance from each other and be more safe.
No, but Tyson doesn't care about the Gulf of Mexico, and they don't care about the employees working there. So it's pretty safe to assume they really don't care about the animals that they work with. And they really are the most notorious animal abuser probably in human history. This is a website called TysonTorturesAnimals.com. And actually, they are a website dedicated to having Tyson follow some sort of standards. The Global Animal Partnership has created a simple set of 5 standards that, as you can see, all these companies here have agreed to follow a really low set of standards set by the Global Animal Partnership, and Tyson refuses to follow these standards. It's simple standards that require like giving the animals light, having a maximum amount of animals you can put into 1 square foot, saying you can't torture the animals, saying that allowing third parties to go in and check your factory farms and audit your factory farms. Tyson will not agree to any of these simple standards. So this just shows that when it comes to Tyson, it's about making money. Nothing else matters to a company like this. Tyson never has to face strict consequences for their actions. It's more profitable to torture animals than it is to follow a set of standards. And I think the reason no one really goes after the upper management of Tyson Foods is because they've been bribing off our politicians since 1997. This is an old article from the Washington Post from the 90s that says that Tyson Foods pled guilty to a felony count of bribery by paying off then Secretary of Agriculture Mike Espy. So they've been doing this for a while. And this is me on OpenSecrets.org. And this will show you that Tyson regularly now pays lobbying firms. So we're still not sure if they're still doing it illegally like they did back then, but it's probably more likely, especially since the passage of the Citizens United court case that pretty much makes spending by corporations unlimited in elections. They're able to unload on lobbying firms and get all sorts of legislation through. And these lobbying firms and the lobbying associated with the meat industry are very powerful. They're just as powerful as the pharmaceutical lobby. They're just as powerful as the defense lobby. All these lobbies, the financial, the Wall Street lobby, all these lobbies that we consider very powerful, the meat industry is right up there with all of them, for sure. And here's an article actually from April where there was a bipartisan pair of senators and they were requesting an antitrust probe into the meatpacking industry. And an important thing to know is that in 2001, Tyson had a merger with a company called IBP. So in 2001 is when effectively Tyson became the world's largest meat producer and processor. And many felt that this violated antitrust laws. And what this was going to do is hurt small farmers and hurt small businesses involved in this. And that's exactly what happened. And it's only 20 years later that they're requesting a probe into this. So that's how long it takes Washington to react when everyone knew at the time that this was going to wipe out small farms. And even a couple nincompoops like Chuck Grassley and Paul Wellstone, who were senators at the time, who have even been in the news. They've even said, so everyone knew this was going on, and it's taken 20 years to even request a probe into something like that. Just tells you how powerful Tyson really is. And another reason why the government should have opposed the merger of Tyson and IBP was because actually as these meat producers become more centralized and as the small companies get bought out by the bigger ones, and as the competition becomes less and less, it's proven that these farms spread more disease. And this is an article from Vox. These articles were all over the place, and I even found one dating back to 2002 from The Guardian talking about this issue. So we've known this for a while. As you centralize, disease will spread. And that's something the government knows, but because Tyson Foods is in their hip pocket, they're never really going to do anything about it. And it's always a sad day in Washington when a company that denies its workers bathroom breaks and forces them to wear adult diapers. Yes, you heard that, adult diapers. It's just crazy that our government is more willing to work for Tyson Foods than they are to pass legislation that would be in favor of the people. And here I have a couple polls from the Sentence Institute from 2017. And these polls show that 49% of Americans agree with the statement, I support a ban on the factory farming of animals. And even down here, 70% of Americans have some discomfort with the way animals are used in the food industry. And 69% think this is one of the most important social issues in the world today. So I think people are starting to come around on what's going on here. And in fact, if laws weren't the way they were, I think more people would know what's going on inside these factory farms. And the reason a lot of people don't know what truly goes on in these farms is because we have laws that are called AG Gag Laws. And these are anti-whistleblower laws that target the agricultural industry. And you can see there's a lot of these types of laws in Canada, and there's a lot of these types of laws in certain states within the United States, and specifically states that have a lot of factory farming going on. They're the ones that have these AG Gag laws, and these laws prevent people from filming what's going on. So know that 70% of Americans feel discomfort with what's going on here, and we're not even really allowed to see what's fully going on here. And if we did, those numbers would be a lot higher. And a lot of these states, they go back and forth. They have these laws, they repeal these laws. The lobby comes back and they reenact these laws. So some of these states do go back and forth on the issue, but it's just really surprising that when it comes to the First Amendment, when it comes to the freedom of speech, it just shows that Tyson Foods is more important than our right to know what we're eating and what's going on within these factories. So look, I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian. I do actually eat meat. But I think there's something to be said about respecting the life of another living being. And Tyson Foods just does not do that. They prey on undocumented workers. They are the most notorious animal abusers in human history. They've created an 8,000 square mile toxic dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. They don't care about anything other than making their own profits. And it's always so easy to think of Goldman Sachs and Walmart and Raytheon and ExxonMobil as the worst companies in America. But I think Tyson Foods just gets to slip right on by, and they don't get criticized nearly as much as they should. And I think the AG Gag Laws and the fact that both parties are completely subservient to the meat industry, and especially Tyson Foods, that's a big problem why this is allowed to happen. So I think it's just about talking about it. And I think one day we can work towards a society where you don't just have to electrocute animals in order to feed everybody. So if you like this kind of content, I do a lot of muckraking type stuff, especially I like to hit on foreign policy type issues. So if you like that sort of thing and you're looking for a channel just to kind of give you some information, please subscribe and thank you for listening.